welcome to the very first Austin Glug event. And tonight I'm joined by Emily. Emily's here, so she's our very, very special host this evening.
So for 5 years, my friends and I put on a Texas art and beer festival where we paired up breweries from all over Texas with contemporary artists and helped them to collaborate and find sort of the similarities between their processes. Yeah, so we had an opportunity to do a Zoom call with your buddy Paul yesterday. So we got some fun answers from him. So,
all the secrets.
Yeah, it seems like the two of you might be our longest running relationship of the night. So could you start and sort of tell us about that? Like tell the story that you would tell your grandchildren about your relationship with Paul.
Well... No, Paul and I met in high school. I grew up in Maine, and when I was in high school, I moved to Arlington, Texas, which is in between Dallas and Fort Worth, and that's where his family lived, whatever. You know, we went to high school together, just kind of both, you know, I just like met this dude, and I was like, this is like a pretty weird dude, and, you know, we should hang out. And so we started hanging out, and then, you know, eventually we went to, you know, we stuck around, went to college together, and, you know, it was like a weird time, because, like, normally, like, you know, college, you know, there certainly are aspects of it where it's, like, party, but there's, like, a lot of, like, weird sober shit that, like, happened with me and Paul, too, and it's just, like, you know, how long can you not wear shoes for, or, you know, like, I drove this, like, really shitty Saturn, and we like did like a really nice job of turning it into like a NASA spaceship, and would just drive around and like listen to like static-y radio stations, and there was just like a genuine like will to be weird. And so like at the time, like he was in an architecture program, you know, doing really poorly. They set you up to fail. Like, you know, I don't know if we have any architect homies in the room, but, you know, he was doing that and sort of dropped out and was like, I don't want to do this. And then just, like, got into printmaking. And so, like, at that time, like, you know, like in Dallas is, like, where we would go to, like, you know, catch shows or whatever. And there was this one club called the Granada, and he kind of somehow got into like this circuit because there was like a really almost non-existent printmaking program at UT Arlington, and he like really wanted to be a part of it. And then, you know, he just had this like super like illustrator forward style where he's like just drawing people's hair, and he's just gonna draw every line of it, and it like takes forever, but it like looks sweet, you know.
Well, do you want to see what story he told?
Yeah, let's see
his
side.
Let's see his side of it.
Call me out, Paul. Hey, Paul.
Yeah, I guess John and I met when we were in high school originally, and he had moved to our high school from Maine and started kind of like, you know, just being a weird guy at our high school that wanted to play lacrosse, and he was kind of like bringing his interesting like Maine vibe to Arlington, Texas, and I mean, I guess we were like kind of like friends in high school, but we kind of like got to know each other a little bit better once we started college, and we would you know, like we lived in like a kind of like a duplex area where, you know, like he lived like, you know, 2 doors down from me, and we would just kind of like just do dumb stuff. We turned his car into a space shuttle, like a NASA space shuttle once, like
check.
So we actually have a special treat from your Valentine.
So the 99 SL. Oh shit.
So that's from your buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, these pictures look like they were taken at my bachelor party. Not the car, but the bandana under the hat.
Yeah, that's your Valentine.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
From you or who?
No,
Just
from Paul.
Paul sent it?
Yes, he did. Yeah, and he had a deadline to meet, so it was a little. He had to squeeze it in,
Yeah,
but
he's always
he really went
squeezing.
for it. So how did you know that Paul was right for the job?
Well, like when we like started doing Fairweather stuff and like really started getting into it, and my partner Michael, we were just like, we want to do this. We know we want to make this happen. We see this huge hole in the market, and we just want to be like this like fun cider company in Austin. And there's a handful of other great producers here in town, but when it comes down to how you're going to get a product to real consumers, you start looking at grocery store shelves. I think like the stat is like, your can is like 3 seconds to interact with people that are just shopping by, and they're just like, no, whatever, or they have their regular thing and they know where it is. And so we knew we wanted to like, cater to his style that was just like really illustrator forward. And actually, could you go back? I mean, even just like to the logo itself, which anyway, you don't have to go back, whatever. But I just like flew out. He's from Texas, but he lives in LA now. So I just like flew out to LA, and it was just a no-brainer. It was just like, dude, you're like doing all this sick stuff and like New York Times and like whatever. And I just flew out to LA. We looked at a clothing line that Lacoste did for Dragon Ball Z, or the other way around, or I don't know how it works. And then we went to the Griffith Observatory, which like overlooks like downtown LA, and it's like pretty hazy. But we just looked at pictures of clouds for like 4 days, and just weirded out, and then he branded us. So like that was the brand. So like this, well, go back to the last one, please. So like this was like the original Smell the Van sketch, which I don't know if any of y'all have checked it out or whatever. We got some at the bar. So initially, like this, like stood out as like all of our designs, like they start from a concept, they start from a drink. So like we had already been getting some Gin Botanicals from some friends of ours, and we knew that like Gin Botanicals and cider are friends or whatever. And so I'm like driving back from the distillery, and I just have like all these fresh soaked gins in the car, and like the van smells nuts, and I like go and meet some buds for lunch like on my way back in, and I was just like, you guys want to smell the van? And at the time, Michael, he was like kind of like dialing in the recipe or whatever, and he had just like labeled a keg Gin Bot. And I was like, that, fuck it, like that's fine, like we can put that on the board. It's Gin Botanical, it's communicative, whatever. But it really always does like start from a drink or like an idea, and then the design comes second. So like Smell the Van, and then it's just like, dude, it's gonna like it should be called Smell the Van. And like my business partner hated it, and I was like, dude, think about it. Like you were just gonna put it like on a can. And he's like, okay, well if there's like a can, I was like, yeah, and there's gonna be like smell lines, and like Paul's like already like drawing like a lot of plants and stuff. And then so I like talked to Paul about it, and he's like, what if there's like a nose? And then we like have this like thing where it's just like, oh, we take a deep whiffs out of the van, and there's smell lines and all this stuff. And so like now there's like this kind of like cute pretty boy like on the bottom left, and this like cute rabbit. But this was like gonna come out like before November, and we're like, this looks like way Christmassy. And then we like switched to the next one, that one, and like Paul has free reign. I don't really, I give him like loose ideas and like don't like tell him a ton of like what he should do. Like the concept is like, very clearly communicated, but I had the opportunity to watch him develop as a designer, and so it's just like I just like want you to do your thing. And even like, like where his personal stuff has progressed, like, and it's like way different and not necessarily like, the same as what you would see like on a Fairweather can, but it is like indicative of his work. But it's like, like that pretty boy, I was like, could we give him like a Bev Boy, neck tat, and like, can you make him like look a little bit more like tired and jaded and like, van life. And then, we started like developing these little things, like it's the right kind of fumey, but there is just like a certain amount of trust, and like we have these like really long drawn out conversations that probably most or certainly some small business owners that are communicating with designers, like just simply do not have that luxury of just weird fucking long calls and you're just talking about oranges, or I mean like color palette wise, and orange.
So, were you reading over my shoulder because you jumped right ahead?
No.
Well, the next part of the question that I didn't have to ask was if you had to describe Paul's personal scent, how would you describe it?
Like what he smells like?
Yeah.
Well, that's a weird thing. So, like, when we were in college, he got in this like skateboard.
College scent isn't fair. Let's bring it to the now.
Thank you. Well, really, there was this time where he got hit by a car while he was skating, and he wound up in like the hospital, and he actually lost his sense of smell. So I'm gonna say nothing. So I went in and tricked him. I went and visited him in the hospital, and I was just I brought him a Slurpee or whatever, which he ended up throwing up later, and it was this big whole other thing. But I brought him a Slurpee, and I was like, hey dude, what does this Slurpee smell like? Does this smell like bubble gum? And he's like, yeah, kind of. I was like, dude, it's Coke. It's not and so. Yeah, nothing. He doesn't smell like anything.
Well, funny that you say that because he can smell you. So we asked him the same.
Where the name came from. John's smell would be maybe I don't know, just like grilling burgers or something I don't know.
I'll
just
take it.
grilling meat, probably.
That's fair. So he can smell you.
Yeah, Grill Dad. Oh, go back to the last one. So this is crazy. This is oh, sorry. So this is nuts. So this is the first. So I don't know if any of y'all recognize Common. This was the first sketch that I ever got for it, and it's super hard for you want to design a product and you don't know. It's deciding what you want in life. It's what do you want this thing to look like? And you're I don't know, it's Austin and people drink outside and, make it outdoorsy. And we, at the time he was drawing a lot of dogs with sunglasses. And there's this chick on the jet ski and there's a fish. There's just a ton of stuff. But it was weird because this sort of changed the way we operate. Cause I was dude, I don't know what I'm looking at. This is the most confusing thing I've ever seen. And, this is super different from what it ended up being. But, then, we started doing I need a tight sketch. I have all the faith in you in the world or whatever, but I just need some I need something a little bit more tangible, do what you want, but just don't send it to me until it's tight. And so, a tight sketch, not nuts, So we got this and that was sick, but it wasn't really moving us. And then we arrived on Common, and this is the current layout, and so so we still have some weird elements, and we have a ladder in a hole that leads to nowhere, and there's these skinny dipping dudes, and all this stuff, and then well, that horse doesn't have the eye patch yet. The horse has an eye patch later. Now it has an eye patch. So that's how it actually comes to life. And then you have spacing, and then you have the the side bit that is what we use for our tap handle designs. And then you have the government warning and the UPC, which is more complicated than you'd actually realize. But this little dry cider thing up in the top left, that's and the dry cider above the Common over there on the side, that's a big part of all the iconography that we use that is, super important that we didn't realize that we needed. That is and it was really his suggestion. He's we need you need a brand identity guide. And I'm what the hell is that? And he's well, you need one. And I don't really, this is his first art direction project. So, we get that going. And so now we're developing all this iconography and stamps and logos. and like all these brand assets that you end up, you don't realize how versatile they are, but you can use them, you know, for anything from merch to social media to gifts to, you know, whatever. So yeah, Common, that was like our first thing, and so like it was like very like Illustrator for it. It's like a scene, like it's like one layer, like it's just a bunch of, you know, folks hanging out in a car and like a eagle and, you know, all these like geos. Sometimes we call them ground hams. So, you know, then coming from that, this, you know, isn't like chronological, like how we, you know, like do all of our stuff. But then, you know, like later we have like a hoppy common. It's like, well, we want to like rework like all the same elements, but it's going to be dry hop. So we want to, you know, we're going to do like zero gravity. So they're all hopped up. So like everything's fucking all over the place. And, you know, and that, you know, it gets a little tighter right there. You know, like the little waves are like kind of sad, and then they get like cool. And then there's like mountains in the back, and then, you know, we end up having, you know, just like different placement of like a logo and a banner, and then that's, you know, that's hoppy common, and it's like dry hopped. And so, you know, we have, you know, we started to change the layout to be less of like a scene and more of like a bunch of icons, like the way you'd see them on like a movie poster or something, like heroes and characters and like, you know, like different, you know, things. So that's like, you know, what the, you know, that's what it like looks like. So that's, you know, more shit. And so then there's Tejano Dreams, and that was like really when we like made the breakthrough. This is like a cider with green chilies, and this was like the first sketch. And so I was like, you know, I'm getting a tight sketch. Like, this is great. Like, I can really like see what's going on. So there's this like weird cat on a truck, and there's like a, you know, a cactus and a cowgirl and a football dude. And he's, you know, we're all, you know, we kind of have like our set pieces. Like we always will have like some flowers or botanicals or something. We'll always have like some kind of nondescript characters that are like sometimes kind of sad. And then like animals. And then so that's, you know, we ended up putting the squeeze box on the cactus. And then, you know, getting like a little like taste the meat, not the heat. You know, got that from our Lord and Savior, Hank Hill. And then, yeah, we still have the dry cider thing up there. And so it's like, you know, we knew we wanted that to be yellow because that would be like a good contrast for the green. And then like through all of this, we have like alternate colors for like the banners and like all the logos. So it's like, you know, going back to like common, you know, hoppy common is like totally different. Common is like totally different, and so it's just like it's just free reign. Like it's just, you know, you know what you're doing, and he's just like a color whiz. Like anytime I've like suggested a palette, it's just been like not cool, and or it's been fine, you know, but it's like, you know, he'll try to make it work and it like doesn't work. So anyway, then we did Easy Tea. This one, you know, didn't do as well in the market as we liked, but you know, it will this year, so be on the lookout. It's going to be sick. And so this is still just using a lot of set pieces. So we've like come a long way from like just having like a blank like illustration where it's just like a scene or whatever. And now these are like kind of all these like, you know, different like icons and you know, different stamps and different images that are all kind of you know, coming together, and we have like these weird like slanty flowers. But you know, he's suggesting like pretty much like 90% of this, and you know, I you know, there's just like a really high level of trust, and it's just like I want to be, you know, your friend and like, you know, hopefully your favorite client. And it's just like, you can do what you want. And it was a no-brainer for us to go to Paul. And he just has so much potential to make, you know, our brand more attractive. And then when it comes back to that 3 seconds on, you know, the HEB shelf or whatever, that really matters if you just have like all this like wacky, like loud ass shit that, you know, people are going to be like, what is, you know, like I want to know more about this, or, you know, maybe they write you off, but too many haven't.
I think we have time for one more quick
let's do it.
question. So as the only pair that lives in different states, would you
yeah.
say that distance does make the heart grow fonder?
Grow fonder. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I miss Paul. It has like changed our relationship to where it's a little bit more business oriented than I would like. I mean, we talk on the phone a lot, but it's really hard to keep like just, wanting to chat and wanting to talk about Fairweather stuff or like whatever other like clients he's working with. Separate, but we both have like a similar mentality where it's like, we love what we're doing professionally. And so, like some of those casual chats like already would be, sort of talking about artwork. So it's unique, but, I don't know if I really answered your question.
You kind of did. He said that it's easy when you live in the same place to take people for granted.
Yeah, it is, but
so he doesn't take you for granted.
He like visits a lot, and we have this like shed behind my house, so he'll always like stay in the shed when he's in town. So I get to see him, and like we'll go out to LA and like hang out. And he doesn't have a shed, but it works out just fine.
Well, thank you so much. That was really fun.
Okay.
We love it.
Thanks.
Thank you.